about Armenia. So there's this paper by Paul Hagerty of a few years ago that locates the homeland there. And he does so not so much for genetic reasons. I mean, nowadays genetic research is all the rage, but for linguistic reasons, that with which it all started. And so he says problems like the location of Hittite, for example, as very ancient and as located in Anatolia. He does sophisticate that line of thinking, and so he concludes for Anatolia. And if you reread his paper, well, maybe it points more to Armenia, which is more or less part of Anatolia, the eastern end of Anatolia. And so in the 80s, already two Soviet scholars, Gamkrelidze and Ivanov, had also located the homeland there. Even though at that time already the Volga up to Ukraine, that was already the favorite homeland. But so they said, no, this is wrong. The homeland is in the south of the Caucasus. And so I noticed that in India, quite a few scholars have fallen for this. And I mean, fallen for this sounds negative, I'm sorry. Because I do think that his theory has some points in its favor. But so they jumped at it because it offers something slightly more plausible than an invasion from the northwest, namely an invasion from the west. So they say, rather than going all around the Caspian Sea down to India, what they did was from Armenia take the straight road through Persia to India. And even traditionalists in India might like that, because you see there's an Indian tradition already, 1,500, 2,000 years old, that has to do with Manu. Manu is the supposed ancestor of the whole Sanskritic tradition. He's an ancestor of the Vedas. He's already mentioned many times in the Rig Veda. And so that tradition says that he was a kind of Noah in India, or in their version, the story of Noah is a reapplication, of the Indian tradition. And so he landed, he also had a boat, to survive the flood. And then when the water receded, he ended up in Himachal Pradesh, in North India, in the mountains, in a place, Manali, it's called today, so Manalaya, Manu's place.
Manu's Alaya.
Yeah. And so the story says that he came from the south. Now, of course, if you land on the southern slopes of the Himalaya, that's like also very plausible, because even higher up in the north, it's unlikely that the sea would have reached that high. But so it says that he came from the south. Now, what is the south? Looking at it from Himachal, south of it you get Punjab. Then in Punjab, it's very easy to make the road to Persia, or the other way around. So first he came from the west, from Armenia to Punjab, and there he turned north to, or the incipient Indo-European language family turned north. And so there you get this concept of him coming from the south, integrated into this concept of an Armenian homeland. Somehow they can be reconciled. So yeah, that's nice. That's a possibility. So I wouldn't discard it too easily. And somehow it's more fun to argue with that theory, even if you disagree with it, than with the theory of an invasion from the northwest, with which, you know, Indians have had a lot of trouble over the years. So that's a possibility. That's one candidate. And so in the West now, if you talk about controversies over the homeland, what they think of is not the Indian
versus.
Yes, you know, in fact, very many scholars have never heard of the out of India theory. And those who have heard of it have never studied it. You know, because they've been told by Wikipedia or something that this comes from the ugly, vicious Hindu nationalists. And so they think, oh, it's not worth it, you know, it's one of these crazy, you know, internet trolls. So they just don't know about it. And so what they think of is the controversy between north of the Black Sea and south of the Black Sea, north of the Caucasus, south of the Caucasus. So those are the two main candidates.